All right. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. I don't know if we have any fathers here. We have our spiritual father here, so happy Father's Day to you. So make sure you guys give him a shout out. Anybody that's online watching it, happy Father's Day. It's a beautiful day. It's been a beautiful week. Oh, thank you. The Warriors won. That's exciting. Who's excited about the Warriors? Cassis, you're excited? No? Okay. All right. So shout out to Steph Curry. I know I'm pretty excited. I'm still celebrating. I feel like I should go to San Fran to celebrate. So you might catch me. See you want to go?
I'm down.
All right, welcome to this new series. We're going to talk about love, ready to love. Who's ready to love? I feel like only one person raised their hands. Everybody loves a love story. All right, so everybody that's in the back, you guys could come sit in the front. Nobody wants to sit in the front? No? All right. All right, some of you guys are very excited about this series. Anytime we do a relationship course, I remember when we did, Kasi Sabai taught the class Dating Back to Purity, we had about 100 people, but that was before COVID. And that's the reason we moved here, because everybody loves a good love story. Everybody wants to talk about relationship. All right, so with that being said, I know some of you guys are probably scared or don't want to be here. I don't know what I'm going to say, but just stick with me. All right, we're going to have fun. We're going to enjoy this. And all of us could get something out of this series. So first, I do want to give a shout out to the Sunday Logistics team that kind of did the decoration. They're in the back. Look at the room. So shout out to them. They really do a lot. You know, we come up here, we say a few things, and we leave, but they really, meet during the week, multiple times. There's millions of text messages that they send, and they do a lot. So please, we just want to say thank you to all of them. So this is a 4-week series. So the way, again, talk about love, talk about relationship, dating, marriage. 4 weeks is just not enough. 4 weeks is just not enough. All right. So we have a love box in the back. Can you guys kind of raise the love? Again, look how beautiful it is. They kind of came up with this. All right. Everybody, when you guys walked in, should have received an index card with something to write on. Does everybody have an index card and something to write with? If you don't, can you please raise your hand? Somebody from the Sunday Logistics will walk around and, Lydia, you should get up and get your own. I'm joking. Enjoy it. So if you don't have something to write with, if you don't have an index card, please just raise your hand. It's going to be important, so they'll go ahead and pass it around. See you if you want to pass the index card and the pens. All right, leave your hand. So what is the love box? So I'm going to be up here. I'm going to talk about some things for the next 3 weeks. The 4th week is going to be a panel discussion. So we're actually going to invite my wife. I don't know what she's going to say, but we'll invite her. Kasi Sabai will be here. His wife will be here. So you guys get to, we get to answer whatever questions that you have. So during the next 3 weeks, if you have any questions while we're having this discussion, just write down your question. And then you don't have to write your name. It could be anonymous. And then just put it in the love box at the end of each class. So we'll do this every 3 weeks. Make sense? We're clear? Whatever questions you have, topics that we don't cover, hopefully we'll be able to do that the last week. All right? That's the first thing. And then the second thing is also about life groups. I know most of you guys might not be familiar with life groups, but a lot of us in YLTC, we've done a lot of life groups, and I think we all benefit from those. So we kind of bringing those back again. So we're going to do a life group starting not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. What's the date? The 28th. They'll make the announcement towards the end, but we're also going to have a life group where we get to, have this discussion here. But most of the time, you guys, there's a lot you want to talk to. There's a lot you want to share with. And I think when we get together outside of the Sunday school, what we'll do is, it's 10 minutes from here. We'll meet at my house. Actually, it's like 10 minutes from here. And we'll be able to, have the girls in one room and then all the guys in a different room. And then we'll have a discussion. I think that's where we learn a lot about each other. So it's a part of our fellowship as Christians, but also it's where we learn from one another, right? So we'll bring in the life group back. For logistic, the host will kind of talk about that towards the end of class. All right. So like I said, we're going to have fun. We're going to enjoy this just to get my audience, just to kind of get a gauge of like where we're at. How many people engaged? Anybody that's engaged? He's like this. Raise your hand. Be proud, man. All right, there you go. You got two. They must be engaged together, right? All right. Do we have, I know married couples. I don't know, Cassie. Is anybody else married? I see a lot of new faces. Anybody else that's married? Other than Cassie? No? Okay. Singles? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. All right. Who's single and actively looking? All the guys are like looking around like it's... All right. So regardless of what your status is, married, single, did I drop something? Married, single, single, or actively looking, whatever, dating, relationship, we're all going to benefit from this, all right? We're all going to benefit from this. So before I start, there's a short video clip that I wanted to see. I want you guys to see. Hopefully there'll be a volume.
I am a business hotel.
Ads.
And breathe efficiency. I'm looking for someone who appreciates high ROIs and even RPMs. I would be honored to be your
So we all have a different definition of love, right? When we think about love, marriage, we all have like different views. So we're going to watch a quick clip and they're going to explain to us what love is.
Love is a mysterious thing, right, Guillermo?
Right, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you. Love is, it's difficult to put into words. So with the most romantic day of the year approaching on Sunday, we thought it would be fun to go out on the street to ask children to explain love. And, well, this is what they had to say.
What is love?
I have no idea.
What is love?
Love is when you love somebody. And it's when you love somebody, and it's really when you love somebody.
What do you think it feels like to be in love?
It feels like heaven.
What do people who are in love with each other do?
They be gross.
What does that mean?
They kiss, they be gross.
If you're not in love and you want to be, what should you do to find someone?
Go to a woman casino.
What about Tinder? Do you think that's a good way to meet people?
Tinder. Maybe. If it's chicken, we probably like it.
Chicken Tinder?
Yeah. I live there a lot. That's kind of pretty.
Yeah, it's fun to have on a date.
Yep.
Do any of your friends at school have boyfriends?
I don't know that answer. My friend pretended she did, but it was just a stuffed animal.
That's weird, right?
It was funny. Because after school, who knows what happens with him?
I like to do it all the time.
You like to do what all the time?
Play with my Legos.
Do you like girls?
Yeah.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Yes.
Who is she?
Isabella.
And what do you like about her?
Her hair. She has beautiful toys.
Is there anyone you have a crush on?
It's a secret. I'm not telling anybody.
So is she your girlfriend?
No. But she's beautiful.
What do you like about her besides that she's beautiful?
She's just beautiful.
Is there any boy you have a crush on at school?
No.
How did you know you were in love with her?
When I meted her in kindergarten, she was just so beautiful, and she had long hair. She was just so beautiful. I'm not really into that stuff anymore.
Like what stuff?
Like marrying stuff anymore. I feel like I want to be single now.
And what about like for the rest of your life or just now?
Just at the moment, I'm not sure about. Maybe when I get older, I
Just want to focus on yourself and your career.
Yeah.
What is love?
I can do kicks.
I'll see the kid. Wow. And that's what love is?
Yeah.
All right, so as you can see, everybody has a different definition of love, all right? And be careful where you get your advice from, too. All right, so what is the goal of this series? Oh, sorry, you're good. All right, so like I said, regardless of your status, whether you're married, whether you're engaged, single, actively looking, not anywhere near marriage, we could all benefit from this, all right? So this series is for all of us, and I think we could all get the tools now and apply it to whenever we are ready for marriage. So the goal of this series is to see the idea of dating. Sorry. Oh. All right. The idea of dating, relationship, leading to marriage. All right. That's the goal of this series. Is the idea of dating, relationship, leading to marriage. We all desire to be happy. We all desire to find that special one, right? I know girls like at the age of 11, they're like, I can't wait till, wedding day, they have it all planned. Louder? Can you guys hear me now? Yeah. All right, sorry. So we all desire to be happy. We all desire to find that special person. And as Christians, right, we identify ourselves as Christians, everything we do in our life should be intentional, right? Intentional living. We always talk about that, intentional living. But that also applies in our dating life. That also applies in our dating life. And sometimes we feel like we separate God from our dating life, marriage life. We feel like there's prayer, there's fasting, like we do those things. But when it comes to like our dating life, we kind of separate God. Like we don't think about we could pray for that. We could pray about it. And I think the person you date will impact your life, whether you think or whether you believe it or not. Like they will impact your life. So everything we do, especially during our dating life, should matter. Again, anytime we date, we should have a purpose. We should have a purpose. And right now in 2022, I think we lost that. I think we date just to date nowadays. Some of you may not be ready for marriage, which is okay, right? Which is okay again, but you could learn these tools now and then apply it to whenever you are ready for that stage. King Solomon says it this way: "Promise me, O women of Jerusalem, not to awaken love until the time is right." Not to awaken love until the time is right. So again, this series is, I keep saying, it's for everybody, whether you're single, whatever your status is. I will say this is not for those that just want to, my wife called it casually dating, right? When you just want to have fun. So if that's you, this series is not for you. If you're dating just to have fun and you can fill in what fun is, it's not for you. Those that date because, like football is over, basketball is over, I got a couple months until football season, so let me go date. It's summertime. You're not going to benefit from this course. We all have a different idea about dating or a different view of what marriage is. Some of us, we have no idea what dating is. Some of us, we have, I remember when I was, in the dating phase, I think, years ago, I was dating, my current wife right now, and somebody said courtship or something. You guys ever heard that term, courtship? I've never heard of it, so it's like new. So there's so many different terms that we're not aware of, right? So some of us have an idea of dating, relationship, marriage, but where do we get it from? Some of us, we have an idea of dating from our parents. Sometimes that could be good, but sometimes that might not be good, depending on how you were raised. TV shows. Right? A lot of us are into like Netflix, TV shows, movies. How many movies and TV shows do you guys know that portray marriage, relationship in a positive way? Not a lot. I couldn't think of any. We get our view of marriage, relationship from, celebrities like, Oprah. I just learned, I don't know if you guys know this, but Oprah, she's been with a man for 40 years. She gives like marriage advice, but she's not married. But she's been with somebody for 40 years, same person. It's like 1980 something. But she said, my job is a priority. I can't make the sacrifice to be a wife. So again, but she gives out advice. So where do we get our advice from about relationship, about marriage, right? Today, we're going to talk about marriage. And a lot of you guys are saying, well, I'm not ready for marriage. I'm not ready for this commitment. I'm just filling your age. I see a lot of younger people. I know that we have one couples that are engaged, but a lot of you guys are single, so you guys might not be ready for it. But it's important that we know our goal, right? We all desire, we all date. A lot of you guys I've talked to, we've been in relationships. But it's good and important to know what the end goal is. Think about buying a house. Nobody wakes up one day and buys a house, right? Unless you have 600, a lot of money. And if you do, we should talk after class. But there's the end goal. But before you buy the house, there's a lot of things you must do and learn and understand. Once you own the house, it requires a lot of work. It requires mortgage. You have to save. So you do a lot to get to that end goal. Same thing with marriage. Marriage is no different. There should be a lot of preparation, tools that we should start learning now. So when we are ready, we can apply these tools that we do learn now. So again, anytime you're dating, our intention should be leads to marriage. We shouldn't be dating just for whatever reason, right? Nowadays I've heard so many different things, right? Why people date. You don't understand the impact that you have on that person. Some of us date just for the fun of it. right? We could hurt the other individual. It impacts their life without us even realizing it. So I did some research over the weekend or while I was preparing this class. And let me be honest, when I say, usually people say they did research, they Google some stuff, right? So don't feel like I did I wrote a paper on this. But based on Google, my research that I did, the divorce rate in 2022, can anybody guess where we're at based on CDC? 55, 59, wow. I was shocked. It's at 50% in 2022 based on CDC. 50% of marriages end in divorce. Second marriage, 60. Third marriage, 73. I'm not surprised by the second or third marriage because they've already been practicing it. It's nothing to them. Like marriage is just, let's try it out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, move on. But first marriage that ends in 50%, to me, that's shocking. So what is our view of marriage as Christians? What is our view of marriage? Is it okay to divorce? Is it okay to divorce? What is our view of marriage when it comes to sex? Is it okay to have sex before marriage? I mean, it's 2022. I mean, everybody does it, right? Like it's normal. What is our view of marriage? What is our view of, we're in a month of, I think it's called, Pride Month, but what is our view of same-sex marriage? I'll answer I think for a lot of us, we feel very, very strong about the third one. We oppose it. We write about it. We tweet about it. We say it's wrong. When is the last time we protested about, sex before marriage? When's the last time we said something about that or talked to our friends about it? When's the last time we talked about, divorce with 50%? What are we doing about that? It's a problem. We have a big problem. You can't be okay with one and not the other. It's biblically. We know that. We know what the Bible states, right? Same-sex marriage is wrong. It's wrong. So is sex before marriage. It's wrong. We can't be okay with one and not the other. We like to say we blame it on, the same sex, that they're ruining marriage. No, we are ruining marriage. We don't take it as serious as we should. So we need to turn into a God-centered marriage. I think we all have, again, different views of marriage, different views of relationship from so many different things. But I think we need to turn into a God-centered marriage, and we need to get on the same page. The goal is to change our view of what marriage is. The goal is to change our view of marriage. And by doing that, we practice these things in our relationship, the person that we're dating. If we know the end goal, we can work towards that goal. Does that make sense? I see too many relationships fail. Like I've talked to, friends, family, YTC people, like relationships that fail. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. We don't wake up one day and learn how to be a husband. We don't wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm ready for marriage. It starts now. Like marriage is like, I don't want to say the end goal, but once you get to marriage, like that's a new life. But you don't wake up and just learn how to be a husband, learn how to be a wife. So today we're going to look at what is marriage from a biblical perspective. We're going to answer two questions. The first one is, what is marriage? We're going to try to define what marriage is. Hopefully I get this right. Yes. Marriage is a sacrament. Marriage is a sacrament. I think sometimes we forget that. We think about sacrament, baptism, confession, Holy Communion, it's one of the 7 sacraments, holy matrimony. And sometimes, let's read what Paul says about marriage. I messed up. All right. In the book of, sorry, I think I'm missing something. All right, sorry. There was a different verse I had up there. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 31 through 32. St. Paul tells us, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This is a great mystery. So it's one of the mysteries within our church, marriage. Again, we forget that the sacrament, marriage is a sacrament. It's not something that we should take slightly. It's something that we should hold to our hearts and understand before we get to marriage. Like when you're dating, you should be like, I'm leading up to this sacrament. Same thing with confession, same thing with baptism. Any of these sacraments, right? We take them, we hold them very high to a higher standard. Marriage is a mystery, and that's why it's done at the church, just like all the other sacraments. So when my wife and I got married, we got married on September 2nd. That's our anniversary. It's coming up. If you guys want to get us our 5-year anniversary gift. Our top list is a gas card. So if you guys want to get us a gas card, we'll take that. So we got married on September 2nd. But for legal purposes and to put her on my insurance, we need to go to court and get married. I have no idea when that date was, nor do I care, right? The government can't define what marriage is. God already defined that for us. All right, there you go. In the book of Matthew, chapter 9, verse 6, we read, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let not men separate. God already defined what marriage is. The court can't tell us what marriage is. The court can't tell us marriage is between, anybody, like same sex. Like, the court can't define what marriage is. Marriage is a beautiful thing that we should hold to a higher standard. I think for a lot of us, and I'll pick on the guys, sometimes we don't do a good job of that. And I'm talking to myself as a married man. I've heard jokes when people get engaged. What do they say? Like, guys, oh, you about to get locked up, man. You guys heard that before, right? I heard it recently. Somebody, man, I'm locked up. I'm done, man. That's it. I'm about to get married. When did marriage become like a prison? Marriage is a beautiful thing. I think we need to hold it our hearts as Christians, as one of the 7 sacraments. We need to do a better job of honoring marriage, how God intends it to be. St. Paul, who's not married, says it this way. All right, marriage should be honored by all, and he's not even married. And the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and all the sexual immoral. Marriage isn't something that we should take slightly, whether married or single. Here is St. Paul, not married, saying marriage is important. We should honor it. It's a sacrament. When is the last time we made fun of there's no joke about Holy Communion. There's no joke about people getting ordained in the church. There's no joke about baptism, confession. Why marriage? I think we as Christians need to do a better job of elevating this beautiful sacrament, this beautiful gift that God has given us. So the first thing, marriage is a beautiful sacrament. It's not something that we should take slightly. It's something that we should honor, whether single, married, engaged. It's something that we should all honor. So where did marriage come from? Where did God establish it? We read the verse, right? We read in the first book of the Bible, right? If you think about it, the first book of the Bible establishes marriage, and we'll take a look at a few verses. But the end, Revelation, the last book, there's a feast, a wedding celebration. So God, he starts the book, the book of Genesis, marriage, establishes marriage from the, first 2 chapters, and then Revelation talks about a wedding feast. Marriage, just like any of the 7 sacraments, it's not something that we made up as humans. Like, oh, it's a cool thing, maybe like we should get, like, the church was instituted by Christ himself, just like any of the 7 sacraments. So marriage is instituted by God. It's not something that we magically made up. In the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 18, we read from the first book. And the Lord God said, it is not good that a man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. And we'll revisit the word helper. I know girls are like looking at me like, I ain't no helper. Like, we'll visit you guys in week 3. We'll come back to this verse. But here we read God, the first, like, a man cannot be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. Let's keep reading. 21 through 20, same chapter. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam. And he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in his place. Then the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, he made into a woman. And he brought her to the man. And Adam said, This is now the bone of my bones and flesh of my, I love that. This is the bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She should be called women because she was taken out of men. So here we see the same Genesis chapter to the second chapter in the Bible. God establishing marriage. And we keep reading verse 24 through 25. Next couple verses. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. That is marriage. It's not something that we made up. It's not something the government all of a sudden tries to tell us. It was established by God himself from the first book of the Bible. Becoming one flesh. And we'll kind of revisit these verses the next few weeks. But again, we're kind of starting from the end goal, and we're going to work our way back. Both naked and not ashamed. A lot of people, when you talk about nakedness, right, we're not talking about from a physical, but nakedness means like I have nothing to hide. When you come one flesh, there's nothing that I could hide. Secrets, password to my iPhone, my bank, whatever, there's nothing to hide. That's nakedness. When you become one, it's no longer my thing or her password. No, you share it. It's one. We're one. That's what we're talking about when it talks about nakedness. God created everything. And when he created marriage, it was in a special way. There's a beautiful image that always comes to me when I think about marriage. We were created in his image. In the book of Genesis chapter 1, God talks about, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. We were created in his image. And we all know God in his image, the triune God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. 3 in 1. In marriage, there's the man, women, the husband and wife, and there's God. That's the new Trinity, right? And there's this beautiful image that I always like to share. You have God, you have the husband and the wife. The further we're away from God as the husband and wife, the further that we are. But the closer we get to God, the closer that we always get, like the husband and wife get closer to each other. Does that make sense? I think this illustrates the Trinity of like marriage, how God intends it to be, right? God, we were created in his image. And in his image, this is what leads to marriage. It's about God being the center, and then the husband and the wife. I remember I always tell my story about how I met my wife. And we'll talk about next week, we'll talk about becoming the right person. A lot of times we feel like, we're always looking for the right person, but we forget to become the right person, right? It's okay to be single, and sometimes I feel like we forget that, right? We feel like we always have to be in a relationship. But it's, especially at a young age, if you're not ready for marriage, if you're still learning, it's okay to be single and work on yourself. And, when I met my wife, I think we were both in the same direction where we were both kind of working on our spiritual life, working on our life, trying to figure out our life out. And the more we got closer to God, God brought us together. And I always tell this story, a lot of people in YLTC know this, and I'll share this in life group, but that's how I met my wife. Is the closer that I got to God, she was trying to get closer to God, and that's how we actually started dating because of that. There's this beautiful, it's not a biblical verse, but we read, it was a beautiful saying from one of our church fathers that I want to share, and I promise we're closing up. So for anybody that's in a relationship, think about when we read this, does your relationship, is it going to lead to this? We read, how beautiful then the marriage of two Christians. It defines, I know it's not biblical, but it's one of the same within our church fathers. It defines what marriage is very clearly. How beautiful then the marriage of two Christians. We can say a lot. A lot of us, we date, people outside of our religion, right? And we feel like, we could convert them eventually, and we'll talk about this in our life group. We have questions for those. But listen, how beautiful then the marriage of two Christians, two who are one in hope. Look how many times he says one. One in desire, one in the way of life they follow, one in the religion they practice. They are as brother and sister, both servants of the same master. Nothing divides them, either in flesh or in spirit. Does your dating life look like that? Would it lead to this? Do you guys serve the same master? One in hope? One in desire? Christians? Nothing divides them, either in flesh or in spirit. We keep reading. They are in very truth two in one flesh, and where there is but one flesh, there is also one spirit. I love this. They pray together. They worship together. They fast together, instructing one another, encouraging one another, strengthening one another. Side by side, they face difficulties and persecution, share their consolations. There's so much we could say about this, right? But think about it. When you're reading this, does your dating life, would it lead to this? Where you pray together with your significant other. When you worship together, strengthen one another. Side by side, they face difficulties. That's one of my favorite ones. A lot of times in relationships, anytime there's, I don't want to say an argument, anytime there's a disagreement, we're facing each other, right? You guys, we tend to face each other. We get to yell like, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, I'm wrong. We're not listening to each other. Instead, we should be side by side, and that's our problem. How do we overcome that? If you think about it, that's relationship, that's marriage, but this is why the divorce rate is so high. Anytime we have a problem, anytime we have disagreement, we're not sure how to resolve it. So what do? The easiest thing is run away. We get another boyfriend. We'll go look for another girlfriend. Marriage 50%. This is why. And we'll conclude with the last piece. All right. They have no secrets from one another. They never shun each other's company. They never bring sorrow to each other's hearts. Psalms and hymns they sing to one another. Hearing and seeing this, Christ rejoices. Hearing and seeing this, Christ rejoices. To such as these, he gives his peace. Where there are two together, there also he is present. And where he is, there evil is not. I love this. This is one of the, I actually posted this on my 1 year anniversary because it defines what marriage is. Like, if you think about that, like, this is what Christ wants to see. This is a beautiful gift that he's given us. It's a beautiful sacrament, and this is what he wants to see. That's marriage. That's how God intends marriage to be. It's a beautiful sacrament that is created by God. It's a beautiful sacrament that's created by God. And this is what we all desire, but we need to understand what marriage is, right? So in our dating life, we could apply these tools and understand, okay, is this, like, would my marriage look like that based on the person I'm dating now? Who you date now impacts your life, especially your spiritual life, in every aspect of your life, but especially your spiritual life. I was having a conversation a few weeks ago, maybe last month or so, with somebody, and we were talking about this series, and I was telling them my story, and they said, you know what, Kyle, I'm like, that's a fairy tale. Your story, like, that doesn't happen often, all right? And that person is here looking at me. I'm not trying to look at them. But I'm not special. You're a child of God. God wants that for you. God established this. You were created in his image. He wants that for you. I'm not special. Talking to a lot of you guys were a lot better than I was when I was your age. I've done a lot of crazy things. But it's not a fairy tale. I'm not special. I'm not God's favorite child. But you're just as important to God as he is. Like, I'm a father now. Like, I see my daughter. Like, if I have multiple kids, like, you can't pick and choose. They're all important. Ask any of your parents. They don't have favorites, right? You know, I know we as kids, like, I'm the favorite. But ask any parent. There's no favorites. They love each kid equally. So, my story is not a fairy tale. God wants that for you as well. Sometimes we lose hope. Sometimes we get, heartbroken and we just lose faith. But if we want the relationship to work, if we want that marriage to look like what we just read, we must be willing to do it God's way. We can't pick and choose what we agree with, what we don't. Sex before that one we could, divorce, it's okay. I mean, like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Same sex, but no, we can't do that. We can't be okay with one or the other. If we want what marriage looks like, which is this beautiful piece that we just read, we must be willing to do it God's way. Marriage is not easy. It's hard. I'll tell you guys that. Assis will tell you that. We'll have a conversation, the last week. But it's the most beautiful thing. Just like in any relationship that you have outside of, boyfriend, girlfriend, like parents, we disagree, we fight, right? We argue. Marriage is no different. Marriage is no different. It requires a lot of work. But it's important that we understand what marriage is now. So when we are in a relationship, we practice these things. If we don't, like any time in a relationship, a problem arises and we run, we leave, we're going to do that in marriage. Because why? We've been practicing that. A lot of people date at such a young age now, which I have no idea why. Like at 14, 15, 16, I don't even know what I was doing at 14, but like the concept of that, like where is that going? Right? And we practice breakup, boyfriend, breakup, boyfriend, girlfriend. Like we break up, like we're practicing everything. What we do now impacts our life. What we do our present time impacts our life. So next week, we'll focus on the guys. I feel like that's easy. So ladies, make sure you guys come out. I'm going to give out a few secrets about the guys. I've been there, done a few things in my past, but I'll share. We'll talk about the guys. Girls, I'm kind of scared, so I'm going to push it to the last week. I don't usually leave girls first, but I'm scared of the crowd. But we'll talk about that, the girls, the following week. So, again, like we said, we will have life groups. We will get into questions. So if you have any questions today, write your questions down, and you could put it in the love box, and we'll be sure to, review them. At the last week will be a panel discussion. We'll be able to answer that then with Sabat Xavier.